Welcome back to the Engineered Angler. Why am I yelling? I don't know. I'm mic'd. I shouldn't yell. Welcome back to the Engineered Angler. I'm back from Spain, back in the lure shop. Had a great trip. Spain is beautiful, beautiful. Anyway, but I'm happy to be home. Nothing like home. This is part 4 of getting a metallic finish. We're doing transfer sheets. If you don't know what transfer sheets are, stick around. Well, I was really glad to be back in Florida, except for now we have our first hurricane out in the Gulf, so today's a really rainy day. Good day to be in the shop, but not a good day to be in Florida. So this is a foil transfer sheet. This is actually made by iCraft. It's called Deco Foil. There's a few other brands. Essentially what it is a very thin, clear cellophane with a very, very reflective metallic finish on it. People use this to decorate cards and handicraft and paper products, that kind of thing. You can put it on with either a spray adhesive or a roll-on adhesive or a brush-on adhesive. And they have like these laminating heat roller thingies. Anyway, that you roll through. It's all handicrafty stuff. I don't do any of that, but if it's your thing, cool. To get this really, really reflective mirror surface, you have to have a glass-like finish under it. When you use glue, that kind of goes out the window. Now you still get a nice shiny metallic finish, but you don't get that reflective quality, which is what I'm after. If you're not, that's cool. You can do the easiest thing that gets you what you want. I just want to kind of roll through everything right up to the best that I've found. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a demonstration. I'm going to use this contact cement. It's a liquid contact cement. It's very thick, it's very viscous. I'm going to apply it as thinly and cleanly as I can with a brush, and then I'm going to use this spray adhesive, which is about the best I've found as far as going on smooth and not being too dimpled and too textured. What I've done is I've taken some PVC and made these little tabs. So this is what we're going to try to put that metallic finish on. These two will be for the adhesive, and then I have a lure that I'm going to do in silver, and hopefully this will be the one that comes out the nicest. First of all, obviously you're going to need the transfer foils, scissors. A pair of scissors is a good idea. You can also use a razor knife. A straight edge, a good idea to get those cut straight. The adhesives you want to use, some way to smooth this on. Now what I've done is I've made this little rubber sort of sponge squeegee, and I made it out of just a block of foam that came in some packaging. I think it was one of my airbrushes came packed in this. You can also just take a paper towel or something like a paper towel, wrap it around a popsicle stick and tape it on there. And then what I like to do is sort of mash it down to soften it, give it a little bit of a less rigid surface, but it works just as well. It's a little less refined, but you'll need the adhesives, and you're going to need some 5-minute or 10-minute epoxy. I prefer the 5-minute. This is Gorilla. You can use whichever one you want. Let's work from quality of finish, from not that great to much better. So that means using liquid rubber cement first, or contact cement, and brushing it on. I neglected to mention you'll also need a way to hold your working surface. The way this goes on is with this metallic surface up. So you want to have a good holding mechanism so that this thing doesn't move on you or spin on you. Here's this stuff. As you can see, it's about the consistency of maple syrup, maybe. So I'm going to go ahead and spread this on there. It takes very little. So I'm just going to get this laid in. That's good enough of that stuff. I'll cover this. And now we're going to use this spray. And I'm going to spray it in the spray booth. There it is. You can see it's a little dimpled. You're not going to achieve perfection using the spray. That's just the deal. But perfection might not be your goal, so it might work perfectly for you. So right now, I believe this is ready to roll. I'll give this a couple of minutes. So we have semi-smooth, semi-rough. Let's get to it. So this is how you apply it. Right. Make sure you don't get any sticky fingers on it. You just lay it on there and spread it on there. Just give it a good firm pressure. It doesn't have to be super strong, just enough to pressure it on. I'm kind of going slow just for the video. You can go pretty quickly with this, and then you kind of pull it off and you can see it starting to stick. Now if it doesn't have a really smooth surface, it gets a lot more difficult to get it down in those nooks and crannies, and you got to use a little more force. So be ready. See how sporadic it is, or you can see how separated it is in the areas that it didn't actually contact. So you have to keep kind of working it in those areas. So I'm going to work my way over to this side and show you how much better it works when it's on a smooth surface. You can see it starting to look pretty good. Got to have a little patience. You can see the difference between when it's rough and when it's smooth. Of course, I haven't done a very good job putting it on to begin with. It works pretty good. Like I said, the contact cement isn't the best. Here is probably as good as you're going to get ever with the contact cement, which isn't bad, but you have to be able to get that stuff on fast and have it self-level. Otherwise, it looks like that. So let's go and do the other one. Let's do the one I just sprayed on. Metal up, and I think this is gonna work better this way. So I'm just gonna lay it right on there and rub it on. Just a soft towel and a light touch. That it dimples a little, but that's not really horrible, is it? So you can actually get a pretty nice foil finish with this stuff. It's real thin. Paint goes on it really nice. It works pretty good. That's not bad. Again, you can see the dimpling. Those are the two techniques with contact cement. Let's move on to using this stuff. Now, that was a little complicated. This is a little more complicated. Not so much in time, but in timing. Technique is the same. You apply the adhesive, let it set just enough so it's tacky, and then you apply this stuff onto it. Okay, on the third one, I'm going to go ahead and use a real lure. What I generally do is take a measurement of the girth, the widest point, and then the length, and then I cut it then. This actually, I can cut in half and will give me what I need. You will need some way to hold this lure, or your lure, some method to hold it from 2 points and keep it from moving, and you have to have the ability to turn it at least 180 and not drop it. It's really simple. Took me nothing to make this. It's 3 pieces of wood screwed together. There's little angle supports. This is just a carriage bolt on a spring with a washer to keep it from coming out, and a little hook eye. And this is another bolt with a thumb screw or a butterfly nut, whatever you want to call it. And then it also has a swivel on this end. And you apply some tension enough to sort of engage this spring so it's nice and tense without being overly stressed. And you can also spin it around. And I'm going to wipe it down. And then we'll just let that dry. So the next critical thing is really getting enough epoxy to coat your lure. You can get all scientific and nerdy and do a surface area calculation. The key is to not mix too little. Here are the steps. You take this, dump it in there in equal proportions, mix it up, make sure we got enough, and then I'm going to spread it on here as thin as I can possibly thin it and still have it self-level. Then it's a waiting game. Have a portion of the mixed stuff that I leave here on this plastic smeared out as thin as that. And then the technique is to wait, and every few minutes test it with your finger. What you want is a tacky surface that doesn't readily take a fingerprint. At about 15 minutes, give or take, depending on temperature and humidity and all that other good stuff. You do have plenty of time to get the metal surface on there. It's just that the timing has to be right. This is a lure I plan to use, so I'm trying to get it as nice as I can get it. I'm going to smear this out in here, and it's a waiting game. We're going to see when this is ready to go. I'll give this thing a turn, like a quarter turn every minute or so, just to keep it from sagging. A good place to test whether it's ready is on your mixing stick. You can see how I left a fingerprint. It's not what you want. Okay, we're ready. You can see it's tacky, but won't take a fingerprint too easily. And there it is. So don't let it sag too much. When you have compound curves like this, it's a little trickier. So you have to put on what you can, and then peel up and move away. Put on the next layer. It's not as easy as if you have like a nice cylinder shape. Well, that's about as good as I'm going to get this one. But you can see that's a pretty good surface. There were some flaws in the surface and some flaws in my application of the two-part epoxy. You can see where it kind of fish-eyed right in there and quite a bit on the top. And you can actually get a pretty good quality reflective surface. You can actually read the numbers on this ruler. Pretty happy with that. If I had been a little more careful with the clear coat, I think we would have had a even better finish. With a little paint, I can hide almost all those flaws and make it look like a factory lure. Well, if you have any questions, certainly ask them. If you have comments, please comment. If you want to see something a little more in detail, let me know. The 5th video will be on super chrome and silver plating. So those will be a little bit long. This one is a little bit long. So let me know if these things are getting too long. Thanks for watching. Thanks to everybody again for all the comments and the kind words. Alright, catch you on the next one. Slam that like button and leave comments. See ya.